Yay.
All right, Lindsey. So I met you. How many years has it been? I'm trying to
It
think.
was
You
in
were
2013.
2013. You were in Bold.
Yes,
You didn't even have a license yet,
I did not.
and you absolutely killed it in Bold that season. So I was so impressed by you, and now you're absolutely killing it in Fresno. You have a
Thank you.
beautiful.
That was actually my favorite bold to date. I loved that bold. It was great.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. And I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to meet with us, to help us and support us and learn new tricks from you.
Absolutely. I see a lot of familiar faces, and obviously there's some new ones that I haven't met yet. So I'm excited to have this opportunity. And you started off today with a really great question. And so I appreciated that to kind of get the juices flowing in everybody's mind. And, I know that it's been as crazy up there as it has been down here. And I spoke with a couple agents in your market center prior to putting together what I was going to talk about today, because I wanted to see what was going on in your market and, the similarities of what your buyers typically pay for, because it usually can sometimes vary by county. And so I looked into all of that. So if you're ready, I will just jump in and get started.
Yeah, let's go. Thank you so much.
Awesome. So on the left-hand side, you'll see a copy of the purchase agreement, and it's just a blank one. I did some highlighting to kind of navigate where we're adding most of the incentives for our sellers. I will kind of do a little disclaimer here. In the last year, I've moved over to being a listing agent. And so I've seen a lot of offers come over. I have a buyer specialist that is writing most of our offers for our clients right now. And so I have seen a lot of different strategies. On the right-hand side, you'll see recommendations of what we're doing to win offers for our buyers. So typically the first thing that people will notice when they're submitting an offer as a listing agent, and most of your clients, if you're a seller, they want to know what's the offer price, right? Most sellers don't understand that there's closing costs and things that go into it. They really just want to know what the purchase price is. So I'm sure you're seeing it in your market as well, that we're seeing offers well over the list price. We're seeing anywhere from $1,000 to $80,000 over list prices here in our area. We're seeing multiple offers at every price range, even up to over $1 million. So it's just still a very competitive market with extremely low inventory. What we're doing to kind of strategize to help our clients win their offer is I saw someone want me to make my screen bigger. I can't. It's showing full on my end, so I apologize. I don't know if that's a setting that Michelle can show, but I have a full screen on my computer.
Yeah, I have a full screen as well.
Yeah, so I know it's going to be small because it's the purchase agreement, but I know we are recording, and I'm more than happy to send this over as well.
If you look at your gallery on top in your on your laptop or screen, if you hit gallery view and then just click to speaker view, that might be a little bit better for you all.
Well, I'm actually speaking on a different account than I'm screen sharing from. So they might have to flip through and find me.
Options at the top and change the fit of the screen to fit the window.
Yeah.
Right.
So, all right. So for earnest money deposit, from what I kind of gathered from the agents in your offices that I spoke to prior to today, is that a typical earnest money deposit has been between $1,000 up to 1%. What we're having our buyers do is increase those earnest money deposits to 2 to 3%. They're going to be putting it down anyways. So why not increase that initial deposit up front? It's our job as the buyer's fiduciary to not let that buyer lose that deposit. So let's get that skin into the game and increase the earnest money deposit for your buyer. The other thing that we're doing in the other terms on page 1 of the offer is we're writing in for our buyers, of course, if they're okay with it and the lender's on board, is that the appraisal will be ordered within 3 days of offer acceptance. So that way we are hoping to avoid any appraisal delays that we might have on the property. And we're also having some of our buyers offer to order that appraisal on a rush. Now, over the holiday period, Christmas and New Year's, we were running into the issue that a lot of lenders were not ordering appraisals on rush because the appraisers were just so inundated with appraisals. So just make sure that if you're wanting to have your buyers offer to do a rushed appraisal, that the lender can confirm that they are still allowing rush appraisals, and that the lender's on board to order that appraisal within the first 3 days. We've been running into a couple crazy situations here. There was a condo that an appraiser did not want to go appraise, and it took us like 28 days just to get somebody out to that condo to appraise it. We have another one right now. It's a little foothill mobile home. An appraiser did not want to go out. We're now going to be at 30 days before the appraisal is done, and it's costing the buyer $1,200 for that appraisal. So these are things that you might want to discuss with your buyer to kind of prep them up front. One of the ways that we can make your offer stronger is by offering to do a rush appraisal, which typically can increase the price by $200 or $300. Are you okay with that? Any questions on that or thoughts? All right, so we like to put all of the good stuff that's going to be very enticing to a seller underneath the additional financing terms on the front page. So that's where we include information about the earnest money deposit, if we're ordering it on a rush, or we are ordering it within 3 days of the offer being accepted. Other things that we're seeing in order to support those high purchase prices, you can fill in these numbers with any amount of cash if your buyers have extra cash. But buyer to pay up to $5,000 over appraised value if property doesn't appraise, but the total purchase price not to exceed offer price. We're seeing that a lot because our buyers are still hesitant to pay over appraised value. There are some buyers that don't care and they're willing to pay the difference, whether it's $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $80,000 cash over appraised value. This is one of the common things that we do just to protect our buyers so that they're not having to pay exceedingly high amounts over appraised value. The other tactic that we've had is we had a client who said, I don't want to raise my purchase price, but I want to offer a credit to the seller. And we've been successful with this on a few transactions. A couple other transactions, we had kind of pushback from the appraisal management company. So buyer to pay $10,000 towards sellers, it's supposed to say seller's closing costs. The appraisers and the appraisal management companies they're struggling with that closing cost credit. And for whatever reason, we've had appraisers ask us to remove that from the contract. And then after the appraisal is done, we put it back in the contract and have that credit go through escrow. But for whatever reason, the appraisal management companies are having a hard time giving value to the property when the buyer is offering to pay $10,000 towards selling cost, towards closing costs. The appraiser wants to see $10,000 in increased purchase price. So that's just kind of a struggle that we've had with a few lenders seeing that. A couple lenders let it slide and it wasn't a problem. Now, you might be thinking, what happens if I don't have a buyer that has $80,000 extra cash to spend? How can I make their offer look better? So we do have buyers that don't have a lot of extra cash. When we have our buyer consultation with them, we recommend that we shop anywhere between $15,000 to $20,000, $25,000 lower than their ideal purchase price, so that they do have the option of going above and beyond the offer price, the list price, to try to get their offer accepted. What we've also been able to do is work with a few lenders to give our buyers an edge by using a down payment assistance program. So we've had a couple of buyers, and we wrote an offer for one this morning, so keeping our fingers crossed. The buyers do have about $12,000 cash saved up, and they're shopping in the $300,000 range, and they wanted to make their offer enticing, but they didn't have enough cash to pay for their down payment and their closing costs. So luckily they have high enough credit scores. So what we did is they got qualified for a down payment assistance program. So they're still going to be able to pay their buyer closing costs. They're going to get down payment assistance from the lender, and they're still going to have extra cash to offer some seller incentives. So they might ask to pay the escrow fee. They might ask to or offer to pay the escrow fee. They might offer to pay a couple extra things for the sellers, or even offer a small credit. So that's one of the ways we've been able to leverage those buyers that don't have a lot of extra cash, is getting them into a different loan program that's going to free up some of their cash to make their offer stronger. Obviously, it's going to raise their interest rate, but right now it's one of the ways we've found that can actually help those buyers get into properties if they don't have a lot of extra cash laying around right now. So another thing that I really look for as a listing agent is not having to chase the buyer's agent down for verification of down payment and closing costs. I want to know that if that buyer is offering to pay $40,000 over the purchase, over their offer price, or over an appraised value, that they have that cash to close. On a typical pre-approval letter that we're getting with the offers, most lenders don't include, verified cash to close on their approval letters. At least in our area, they don't. So what I'm looking for is a settlement statement. Maybe they're in escrow selling their current property, or they've recently closed escrow, or I'm looking for a bank statement with the buyer's names on it that says they have enough cash to verify that down payment, closing costs, and money over appraised value. If I'm a buyer's agent, I'm going to set that expectation up front with my buyers and say, hey, we're going to provide evidence when we write the offer that you have enough cash to pay what you're offering to pay. One of the other ways that we're helping our buyers win offers, and again, if they have extra cash to do this, is having the buyer consider paying some of the typical seller closing costs. So what we like to do is just kind of chat with our buyers and see how much money they have up front that they're willing to credit the seller. If it's $1,000 or $1,200, that's fine. We can still make that work. So the escrow and title, that's going to be like around a $350,000 purchase price here in our area. But I just estimated some of the general numbers. So typically in our area, the NHD is paid by the seller. And from what I heard from your agents, that's pretty much true in your area as well, and for most of California. So occasionally our buyer will offer to pay that for the seller, especially if it's a buyer that doesn't have much cash to close, or a lot of extra cash. It's $100. And again, it's $100 more that the seller is going to be making. Offering to pay full escrow, typically going to be an extra $600 than they were already paying. Offering to pay full title. In Fresno County, our sellers typically pay full title. So we've seen a lot of buyers that are offering to pay that as well. And we don't have a city transfer tax here, but we do have county. That's usually, it's obviously prorated on the purchase price, but at this average purchase price, it's around $500. So if you've got a buyer that's willing to pay an extra $1,000, they can offer $1,000 over appraised value. Or, there's other ways we can write that. Buyer to pay for the NHD, buyer to pay full escrow. And that's going to get you to around $700 there. With home warranty, sometimes if we have buyers that have really low cash to close, we will offer to pay that as like their closing gift. Right now in our market, sellers are not wanting to pay for home warranties either, even if we do like a 50-50 split. So we're always recommending during the buyer's consultation that the buyers are prepared to pay for their home warranty. And again, if they're low on cash, what we'll do underneath the other section is just write home warranty paid by buyer's agent. And that can sometimes be when you're getting multiple offers on a property, sometimes it can come down to just $500, and maybe it's a home warranty that could make that go either way. One of the other things that we're doing is shortening time periods. And we've seen a lot of sellers in our area order inspections up front. I know in the Bay Area, the homeowners will the sellers will order home inspections up front. And we're starting to see that in our area now too. And so we're having buyers willing to remove their inspection contingencies up front with the offer. And we don't recommend that. We want our buyers to get their inspections. So what we're doing to make that a little bit more enticing to the seller, instead of having a 17-day time period, we're shortening that to 7 or 10 days. we want to make sure that we have vendors that know us, like us, and work very well with us, and that are willing to come out at a short notice. So whenever we're writing an offer, if we're going to be doing a 5 or 7 day buyer inspection period, we make sure and we reach out to our inspectors at the time we're writing offers and confirm that our inspector can go out to do inspections within sometimes 2 and 4 days. So that's been a real big help for us. That way, the seller has more confidence that the buyer will have all of their inspections done early in the process, and we won't have to worry about negotiating any possible repairs further on during the escrow. So always just kind of confirm with your, if you're doing that, confirm with your vendors that they are on the same page with you and that they're going to be available within that time frame that you're offering for your client. Some other notable strategies that we're doing right now is if the property is occupied, a lot of sellers in our market are doing contingent purchases, or they're not wanting to move more than once. So a lot of our buyers, we let them know, don't give your 30-day notice if you're renting. If you're living with your parents, just tell them you're going to be there for a little bit longer, and offering as an incentive to the sellers that they can stay rent-free for a week, 2 weeks, 30 days. We have a client right now who it's our seller, and they were adamant about having a 60-day free rent back. The buyers were so desperate, they agreed to that. And we were able to work with so that the buyer had a benefit of not having to pay any mortgage payments during that time. We were able to talk to the lender, and it's actually going to be closing tomorrow. So the buyers are signing their loan docs today. They'll be March loan docs. We'll be closing tomorrow, which means the buyers won't have their first payment due until May. And when we close tomorrow, my clients, the sellers, will have a free 60-day rent back until May 1st. And that's perfect because the buyers were able to offer that because the lender was willing to work with them and get them March docs so that those full 2 months, the buyers aren't having to make a mortgage payment while they're letting the sellers stay there for free. So that's just one of the other tactics that we've been able to negotiate right now is because it is such a good seller's market. We've been able to negotiate that with the buyers, having buyers, offer some free rent back, time to move, and knowing and having a relationship with your lender and letting those buyers know that based on when we're closing escrow, you're probably not going to have a payment for a month or two. So it's okay if you're comfortable with letting the seller stay in the property for a little bit longer. So any other questions or any other ideas or things that you're seeing out there in your market that maybe I haven't seen yet in our area?
Anybody want to chime in here? So I'm sure there's a lot going on.
I didn't see any questions come in, so I'm looking.
No, it's been great. You've been pretty thorough. Yeah, so we really appreciate that. Anybody else, though? I mean, obviously, we had a mastermind on this not too long ago, and this is what provoked having a couple people come out and share, right, what their best practices are. Krista just chimed in. Great information. She's one of our ALC members, so thank you, Krista.
Awesome. Fellow ALC.
Yes. What else, you guys? What else are you seeing out there that we haven't touched on? Or what else can you suggest? Anything?
I just want to say thank you so much. That was a lot of great information. That 60-day free rent back is a scary thought, though I'm sure that's what made it happen. So that's pretty cool. Interesting. Just having a different mindset of where we're at right now. So thank you.
Absolutely. It's actually very interesting because I received a phone call from an agent at EXP yesterday who noticed on one of my listings that in the agent remarks, I noted that the property this is a different property, but the property was tenant occupied and the tenant needed a 45-day escrow plus the 60-day rent back. Because of COVID and the property management company, we weren't able to give the tenant notice until we had an accepted offer on the property. And it's a minimum of a 60-day notice. The EXP agent called me and really just didn't have very much experience and wanted to know how that was going to work and if I've had problems doing that. And honestly, like on most of our transactions, we've been able to do rent backs from, 2 weeks to 60 days. So it's been pretty crazy out there. And it's, I had a fun time chatting with this agent yesterday. And I'm going to be inviting her to a Keller Williams event so that she can learn some more about what we do and what our ideas are, since she didn't have an idea. But yeah, it's been very, very popular in our area.
That's awesome. That's very smart of you there, Lindsay. I'm sure Joanna likes that idea.
One of the things that always concerns me with the seller rent back is what happens if they don't leave?
You have to evict them.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah, so be careful.
Security deposit.
Yeah, put in a security deposit, whether it's, some sort of, especially even if it's a 30-day, guys, you got to put some money on the hook for them to get them out. And if it's going to be 30 days or more, really, in my counters, I push that the buyers, that either the sellers that are staying or, whoever's staying in the home get actually rental insurance while they are there, because that home is not covered by your standard home insurance if you are allowing somebody other than the owner occupant to stay in it. So be careful.
Yes, we actually have a broker. We have an attorney form for our office that's created specifically for longer than a 30-day rent back, up to 60 days. And there's a section in there too that we fill out that is an incentive for that seller to vacate the property. If the seller is paying 0 rent for that month, after that, or whatever the initial rental period is, whatever date that ends on, there's a penalty if they don't leave. And we write in something extreme, like $250 a day. If that seller hasn't vacated, they're going to now owe that buyer $250 a day. $400 a day, whatever makes that seller hurt, that they're going to want to get out of that property.
Question. Do you put it in the rent back agreement, like have escrow hold it back?
So our escrow companies here aren't allowing us to do any escrow holdbacks. They're allowing transfer of deposit, but they're not allowing any escrow holdbacks. That's just specific in our county. So all of the funds are being transferred at close of escrow. And if there's anything that needs to go back between the buyers and sellers after that, has to be handled outside of escrow between the parties.
Okay, so you're just banking on that being between the buyer and the seller after close of escrow.
Yes,
the
and
delivery
luckily we
that's
haven't had any
immediately-
issues, but that's all escrow is willing to do in our area. They're not allowing any holdbacks at this time.
Got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much the same thing for our area, guys. I haven't found a title company who's willing to do a holdback. They do want that money transferred between buyer and seller. So most of ours here don't like us to do they don't like to be that party holding the money.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a question. What are you finding, Lindsay, in terms of contingent offers? Because those are pretty much impossible. I've gotten creative and thought of different ways to present it. Haven't gotten lucky, but just wondering what your experience is.
So we're in the similar boat. What we're really recommending our clients do is that they list their property and they get their property in escrow prior to writing any offers on any other properties. And then what we're doing up front is, again, negotiating a 60-day rent back with their buyer as soon as we get into escrow. That way, what we're doing is we're having our clients close escrow and then have an additional 60 days inside of their current home to try to find a replacement property. We do always let them know that, of course, they may have to move more than once, but that's kind of a tactic that we've been doing, is getting them into escrow, closing within 30 to 45 days, and then having a 60-day rent back period so that they have time to get a non-contingent offer accepted on another property. But that's all we've really tried. I do have another lender that if they're qualified, it's not a bridge loan. I can't remember what he called it, but he is sometimes able to meet with their clients and allow them to write a non-contingent offer. And then once their home sells, all the equity is transferred. And I know it's similar to a bridge loan, but it's not a bridge loan. So those are kind of the two things that we're trying right now.
Would you mind sharing his information, please?
No, absolutely not. I'll shoot it over to Michelle.
Thank you.
I saw on our Facebook page that Keller Mortgage does something like a bridge loan. It's not officially a bridge loan, but it's something like it. And I've been meaning to check that out.
Yeah, I believe Keller Mortgage is on next Monday. Don't quote me on that, but if you look at the save the dates in our Facebook, and Alyssa probably sent it out on Thursday or Friday via email. So let's just make sure we look at that.
March 15th.
March
March
15th.
15th.
Thank you, which is 2 weeks. 2 weeks from now. Yeah. And then somebody in the chat, can you touch base on the part of buyers not paying mortgage for a couple months? Did we get that?
I saw that, yes. So like typically when you refinance or when you close escrow, the buyer is really essentially paying up front for that next month. So what happens is when escrow closes, they're usually not making their first official mortgage payment until a month or two after that. And that's, you can talk to your lender about that, but that's why they're usually paying all of the interest and escrow and insurance fees up front with their loan. They're essentially paying for the first month with all of their closing costs. And then they're not paying their official first mortgage statement until a month or two. It's typically 45 to 60 days after they close escrow. Thank you. Absolutely.
We also have opendoor.com. Irma, you want to elaborate what you're?
Yeah, I just learned this on last week. I don't know too much about it, but I'll let you know what I was told. So Open Door is a company that us real estate agents will call them if we have a seller that needs to sell right away. We call this company, they buy the house and then they rent it back while they're purchasing a home. So that way they don't feel the stress. And then once they move out, then you as the real estate agent could get to sell the house. So that's how I understand it. I don't know too much about it, but just wanted to throw that out.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. You guys, make sure you belong to our Facebook group, Keller Williams, Central Valley, Tracy, Lodi, Stockton, Manteca, Modesto family, because we're posting a lot of information there, and that way we're not killing your emails as well. So please make sure, because I notice we're a little off on count compared to all of our agents. So yeah, because there's going to be a couple different announcements coming down the pike about another new program Keller Williams has to offer when we get the thumbs up later on today or tomorrow. So I think it would be pretty interesting to watch, see what happens. Oh, well, thank you, Brian, our little tech god, our tech dude. I'm going to have to like cut and paste that. But anyways, any other questions for our guests?
I have a question for Lindsey. So you were talking about the buyer to pay 10 grand towards sellers closing costs. Can you elaborate a little bit on that? Because I kind of got lost.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a couple of different strategies. You know, our clients have offered to pay all of this. Like, let me go back to this page right here. So we've had situations where our buyers have offered to pay for all of the escrow fee, all of the title fee. They've offered to pay all of the HOA transfer fees. That's only typically, you know, going to run about $3,000. And so what some of our clients have been doing is, as the buyer, you know, a couple of years ago, the seller, you know, buyers used to ask the sellers to pay for the buyer's closing costs. So now it's just reverse of that. So now we have buyers that are offering to pay seller closing costs. And so what you'll see is in escrow on the settlement sheet, the escrow company or title officer will take that $10,000 and credit it towards the seller's side. So it's usually covering all the notary fees. It covers escrow and title fees. And you know, in the long run, what it's really doing is it's essentially covering part of the listing agent's commission as well. So it's just a $10,000. I mean, and it can be any amount. your buyer could offer $3,000 closing
Okay.
cost credit to the seller. And then it can be applied, any way that escrow seems fit and how it needs to come out on the settlement
Yeah, I see
sheet.
what you're saying. Okay.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Brian Halstead raised his hand. Brian?
Lindsay, did you guys do a cover letter explaining all these things that are in the RPA, or do you just let the
We
agents sift through
do.
it?
Yeah, we typically just put it on the body of the email, and then we give a phone call to the listing agent and let them know that it's on the way. We always want to confirm that the listing agent has received a copy of our offer. We were having issues with our email this weekend, and one of our offers went to spam. So it was really good that we followed up with the listing agent. She was able to find our offer in spam and pulled it out and was able to get it presented. So yeah, typically we want to make our offer stand out. So the subject line of our email, I usually do 3 asterisks and offer 4 with the property address, and then 3 more asterisks. And then the body of the email, it's going to list out all of the benefits to the seller that the buyer's offering. Great reminder.
Wonderful. Thank you. Anything else, you guys? I want to respect your time. We got about 7 minutes. What else?
I just want to make a point that I think when we write out, like I have a template for the highlights for the contract, that it really makes us and our offer stand out that we've done that. Because I know when I've had listing, I create something like that for each offer, and it's really nice to have that already done.
We
That's
have some images that we have created also that we embed into the email that is the first thing that they're going to see when they open up that email. And so our images will say amazing offer from our buyers. And then once we get into contract, we have an image that says save the dates. So we've created images that go to they're the very first thing that people will see when they open our emails. And then we include that text below. So we're definitely going to stand out from other people.
I have a question for you guys. When you guys send over offers, do you also include like CC the loan officer?
Yes.
Absolutely, I do. We do that for every single offer that we're making, and we're typically shooting a text over to the lender as well. And we've really narrowed down our preferred lenders. If a buyer comes to us with a lender that they want to work with, we reach out, establish a relationship with that lender, because we want our lenders to be proactive during this time and make a connection with that listing agent. We have not gotten phone calls from listing agents for any of our buyers, I'd say in the last 2 months. As a listing agent, I still reach out to every lender for every buyer that we get an offer from. If they're within the top 5 offers, I would say. I'm not calling 15 lenders for each house, but I'm calling the top 5 lenders for each buyer. And I let my clients know, hey, the lender didn't answer, the lender didn't call me back. I emailed the lender, they didn't call me. So it's a real big benefit if you have a lender that is available, and I know they're busy, but willing to put in a good word for your buyers. So we always text our lender and say, hey, we're putting in an offer for the Smith family today. You're going to be included on the email. Most often they're responding to that email right away, and they're giving a call to the listing agent as well.
awesome. I see a lot of good comments in the chat room. So thank you so much, you guys. If there's any other questions, what's going on?
Good morning, everyone.
Hi, Dana.
Hi, Lindsay. I have a question in regard to the expiration of the offer. Do you usually have expiration?
Our buyers have been very picky. A couple that we have right now, and we've been writing in a 24-hour expiration period. I'll tell you that a lot of listing agents aren't respecting that, and they're wanting to wait and see what comes in over the weekend, and they're wanting to present multiple offers to their seller, as that's going to be their benefit. So typically we're either writing in 24 hours or letting the offer expire within 3 days. Typically what we're doing is we're reaching out to the listing agent prior to writing an offer and asking the listing agent when they'll be presenting offers to the seller, and having the expiration typically 6 to 12 hours after they're presenting to the seller. Because like this last weekend, we showed a property on Friday and our client wanted to submit an offer. And the listing agent told us that the buyers, or that, excuse me, that the sellers are out of town until Wednesday and they're not presenting offers until Wednesday. So when we wrote our offer for that property over the weekend, we extended our expiration date until Thursday at noon.
All right, thank you.
Wonderful. I want you guys all to know, yes, this will be recorded. It'll be putting on our Zoom channel, well, my Zoom channel, whatever. And I will post it in our Facebook group like I normally do. I do want to take this opportunity to say thank you, Lindsey. You always reach out and like, hey, I'll help you, Michele, whatever you need, Michele. So I just want to tell you, thank you. Thank you so much for always coming from abundance and always being in my corner. So thank you.
You're very welcome and I appreciate it. And I'm just down the road from all of you. So if you have anybody looking in the Fresno Clovis area, all of our cities that we serve are located on the right-hand side. I'm also licensed in Nevada. However, I won't be traveling to Nevada again, probably until December because I have a baby due in September. So
congratulations. I didn't know that. I'm so
Thank
excited.
you. Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
God.
So I'll be traveling back. I'm typically in the Las Vegas area 2 to 3 times a week. So come December, I'll be back active in that area as well.
You guys definitely make sure she's your Instagram friend. I don't know if I'm saying that right. You know, I'm sure I'm showing my age here, but you can follow her and watch her son grow up. It's the most amazing thing. So she's such a character. So yes, and she has a mutual friend, Mickey Mouse, as I do. I have a friend named Mickey Mouse, and Lindsey loves Disneyland as much as I do. So anyways, you guys, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. And hey, let's go get another listing and go get another buyer, okay? Thanks, you guys. Have a blessed day. Thanks, Lindsey.
You're welcome. Have a good day. Thank you.
You too. Bye-bye.